Ukraine has begun one of the largest attack campaigns against Russia's oil infrastructure since the war started. And the impact is already visible in shut down refineries, hit ports, terminals on fire, and financial losses, which Kyiv presents as a direct blow to Vladimir Putin's war machine. This Friday, April 24, 2026, the central point of the crisis is simple. Ukrainian drones have started targeting the economic heart of the Russian invasion. They are hitting the oil that helps Moscow finance soldiers, weapons, fuel, and logistics on the front lines. I'll tell you all about that in a moment, but right now you'll want to be subscribed to the channel to stay well informed. Real-time information with the best journalistic quality you've ever seen. With the standard of credibility Milson Alves. Here's what happened. In the early hours of April 18th, Ukrainian drones advanced against different regions of Russia, targeting sites related to oil, fuel, and exports. In Samara, important refineries were hit. In Leningrad, the Vysotsky terminal, linked to Lukoil, was added to the list of targets. In Krasnodar, attention turned to pumping structures and to the route that helps Moscow export energy products. Reuters reported that local Russian authorities and Ukrainian sources reported attacks on refineries, an oil depot in occupied Crimea, and a terminal in the Moroccan Sea. Russia tried to respond with the usual version. It claimed to have shot down hundreds of Ukrainian drones. According to Moscow, air defenses allegedly shot down 258 drones on the night of the April 18th attacks. But the fires told a different story. Black smoke, damaged structures, and disruptions at refineries showed that some of the drones got through, hit their targets, and caused damage. For Ukraine, that's the most important point. Moscow can say it shot down drones, but it can't hide when the oil starts burning. The target wasn't chosen by chance. Ukraine is attacking what sustains the war behind the trenches. Russian oil isn't just a commodity. It is money, fuel, political power, and military capability. When a refinery stops, the production of petroleum products drops. When a port terminal is hit, shipments are delayed. When depots burn, logistics have to be reworked. And when all of this happens at the same time, Putin starts facing pressure not only on the battlefield, but also in the Russian state's finances. The Novokubishevsk refinery, operated by Rosneft, has become a symbol of this new phase. According to Reuters, primary oil processing at the facility was halted after the Ukrainian attack on April 18th. This means that the damage wasn't just limited to the image of the fire, there was a real impact on operations. And when a refinery of this size reduces or halts processing, the impact can spread to fuel, supply, exports, and military logistics. The Syzran refinery was also next in line. According to Reuters' survey on Ukrainian attacks on Russian energy facilities, the Syzran unit suspended refining after processing equipment was damaged on April 18 Tuapse. The refinery has the capacity to process about 170,000 barrels per day. In 2024, according to industry sources cited by the agency, it processed 4.3 million tons of crude oil. This kind of number shows why Kyiv targets these points. Each shutdown affects a key part of the Russian machinery. A few days later, the pressure returned again to the Black Sea. On April 20, Ukrainian drones attacked Tuapse, a strategic port used to export oil derivatives, coal, fertilizers, and other products. The attack killed one person and left another injured, according to Russian authorities cited by Reuters. The city had already been hit on April 16, and the new offensive came while Moscow was still dealing with the consequences of the previous fire. Tuapse is more than just a regular port. The place also houses an important Rosneft refinery, which sells a large part of its production for export. Reuters reported that the refinery halted its operations after the April 16 attack. Later, new damage hit oil transportation and storage infrastructure at the port. The fire was so severe that local authorities mentioned hundreds of firefighters and dozens of vehicles working to contain the flames. And here is the harshest turn for Moscow. The war that Putin brought into Ukraine is now turning against sensitive points within Russia itself. For years, Ukrainian cities were attacked by Russian missiles and drones. Now Ukraine is using long-range drones to hit the sector that sustains the invasion. It's a calculated response, not just a symbolic one. Kyiv wants to show that if Moscow attacks Ukrainian energy, Russian oil can also become a target. This pressure is happening at a delicate moment. On April 18, the United States extended for 30 days an authorization related to Russian oil shipments already at sea, amid international pressure on energy caused by the crisis in the Middle East. The Associated Press reported that the measure came shortly after Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent indicated that the pause would not be extended. For Kyiv, this kind of relief is dangerous because it could open more space for Russian money to come in. The offensive also has a direct military effect. Fuel is not just for export. It moves trucks, armored vehicles, generators, transport units, logistics systems, and repairs at the front. Lubricants are also essential for vehicles and equipment. When depots, refineries, and terminals are hit, Russia may even find alternatives, but everything becomes slower, more expensive, and more vulnerable. In occupied areas of Ukraine, the logic is similar. The military news related to the campaign points to attacks against fuel depots, lubricants, and repair units in occupied regions. This creates a two-layered pressure. Inside Russia, Kyiv targets production, export, and storage. In the occupied areas, it targets the logistics that support the troops. The intended result is simple: to make the Russian war effort operate with less fuel, fewer parts, less fluidity, and more improvisation. Russia faces a structural difficulty. Its territory is enormous. Refineries, ports, pipelines, pumping stations, and depots are spread across different regions. To protect everything, Moscow would need an air defense coverage that it doesn't seem to have in sufficient quantity. If you reinforce a refinery, you might leave another port uncovered. If you protect military bases, you might leave storage tanks exposed. If you move systems closer to the oil, you weaken other points. It's a problem with no easy solution. The Baltic Sea also plays a role in this scenario. Terminals like Primorsk, Ust-Luga, and Vysotsk are important for Russian oil exports. When Ukraine hits these corridors, it's not just the local infrastructure that's affected. It disrupts routes used to bring oil and oil products to the international market. This increases delays, raises risks for buyers, and forces Russia to reorganize shipments. In a long war, every delay has a cost. The expert Boris Aronstein classified the attacks against oil export infrastructure as one of the most serious threats to Russian exports since the beginning of the war, as reported by Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. This assessment helps explain why the attacks draw so much attention. This is not an isolated explosion. It's an attempt to weaken Russia's main source of foreign income. This is devastating for Russia. It's not just a fire, it's a sequence. Samara, Kizran, Novokubishevsk, Vysotsk, Tuapse, occupied Crimea, and other energy-related routes are under the same pressure. Russia puts out one flame and another appears. They fix one area and another is hit. They claim to shoot down drones, yet still see facilities closing. With each new blow, it feels like Moscow is scrambling to make up for the losses without being able to fully control the pace. Russia is still trying to resist, deny, and reorganize. But the April attacks revealed an uncomfortable reality for Putin. Moscow's greatest source of economic strength has become an open target in the face of Ukrainian drones. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and at the end, check out the comments so you can be even more engaged with the Mills and Alves community.